My name is Carl Hinder and you're listening to the Salon Help Good to Go podcast, the podcast for salon and spa owners who are looking to grow. The only thing stopping you is you. Episode 42. A two-part podcast explaining the only two things that you need to do in your business. This week, why improving quality is much more important than decreasing prices. Welcome on board, guys. And like I said, this is a two-part podcast. Now, you wouldn't think that there would only be two things you got to do in your business, would you, to make it successful or more successful, depending on where you are at the moment. To all you salon, spa, and clinic owners, listen up. If you can do these two things, you're going to have very few problems in your business. In fact, if you focus only on these two things, I can almost promise success is ahead. So let's dive in. The very first thing that I want you to do is to forget about lowering prices. I also want you to forget about freezing prices, because quite often that's our reaction to trying to demand more out of the marketplace for you to position yourself. And you're right in a way that pricing is a marketing tool. It's the key marketing tool, in fact, that you have. But what we don't want is the mentality that when you're in a position, you will lower prices. Or maybe what you're thinking is, well, once I'm in a better position, maybe inflation goes down or something like that, I'm going to be in a better position to discount, do discount offers, giving more back to the client. If that's in your mind at all, you've got to dispense with that right now. So the statement that I want you to have in your head, when you think of me and you think, right, what's this podcast all about? Think of it like this. You must improve quality and never lower prices. In a nutshell, that's what I'm trying to convey to you. Prices are going to always have to go up because inflation is always going to go up. The cost of goods, the cost of everything that you have in your business, the cost of wages, everything is going to have to go up. That means your prices will have to go up, and you're not going to be able to tackle that simply through cost. Like I said, we'll touch on that more in part 2. Now, you might be thinking, Carl, if I'm not going to be able to lower my prices, what am I going to do to keep the clients I got, or what am I going to do about attracting more clients? I've already mentioned the value word a couple of times in the podcast, and that is where we got to focus. The good thing for you is that most of this is either very cheap or totally free, because the things you've got to focus on are systems, procedures, and above all, consistency. That's what we're looking for in a business. That's what's going to keep people coming to your business. Now, if you're not a very good business, I don't mean consistently poor. I'm assuming that you've achieved, or you're going to achieve soon, a high standard of performance, and you're going to keep getting better at those things. Let me talk to you about some of the things that I've discovered, maybe not in our industry recently, but in other industries. Here's an example that you might be able to relate to. So last year, I went to a restaurant, and this restaurant was highly recommended to me. My friends, my family, my wife, in fact, said, I've been to this restaurant. It's absolutely fabulous. We should go there. And she went on about it for a few weeks or a few months, so we booked in and went there. Now, the restaurant had been open about 12 months, and it got great reviews. And so I was really looking forward to this. I love great restaurants. So we go in. We sit down, the ambience is okay. It's a bit noisy than I expected. The clientele were a bit rowdy than I expected. But it was around Christmas, so everyone's having a great time. Gotta love all that sort of stuff. When the starters come out, they were absolutely beautifully presented. I mean, like Michelin star standard presentation. So I tucked in, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but I think the starter was something like pork belly or something like that. However, presented as nice as it was, first cut into the starter, and what do you discover? You discover that it's frozen. I mean, it wasn't frozen, it was cooked, but it was a frozen product. Now, for a good restaurant, I don't think that's acceptable. But anyway, look, these things happen, and so you move on to the main course. The main course comes out, which was a simple roast. It was a turkey dinner. It was Christmas. It was a turkey dinner. However, you expect in a good restaurant, wouldn't you? You would expect fresh turkey. But what comes out? basically a turkey compressed roll. And it still had the kind of outer skin of the, I'm guessing it came as a big sausage or something like that. And whilst it looked absolutely stunning again, they put a lot of effort into this. The potatoes were frozen. I think the vegetables were frozen. And so, it started to detract, didn't it? It started to detract away from all that great reputation that they had built up. Now, they'd held the prices down. They'd managed to hang on to the looks of the building. But of course, the standards are dropped and dropped and dropped. Now, why am I bringing this up 12 months later? Because, of course, the podcast is about don't lower your prices. Increase the value, increase the standard, increase. Now, this is the important word. I've used it already. Increase the quality of what you're giving the client. I don't mean the quality of the ingredients on its own. That's going to be important in a restaurant. It could be the quality of the overall service. It could be the quality of the environment. It could be the heating. It could be the speed of the service. It could be whatever it is. You've got to improve the quality. So friends of ours in the last few weeks said, I tell you what, why don't we meet up for Christmas? We said, fabulous idea. Let's go to, they said, this restaurant. It's got great reviews, or certainly had great reviews, 6 months ago. What do we say? Absolutely not. There is no way we are going there. And I can tell you now, we would have spent a whole lot of money at this restaurant, and I've spent the whole year telling everyone not to go there. Now, that's up to them. That's their decision. But what they had done is they had cut costs. They thought, right, we can make it look nice. It's not going to taste as good as it could. It's not going to taste as good as it should. We are going to reduce the value. We are going to reduce, here's the important word coming again, guys, the quality. And the big, big important word is consistency. So come here and you're going to get different promises. You're going to get different food of a different standard when you come here. Of course, I'm not going to go back and find out. It wasn't worth the money to me. It wasn't worth the experience. It wasn't worth me investing my time, let alone anything else. So you might be able to relate with that. Maybe you've been to some restaurants where the food wasn't good, or first of all, it was great and then it wasn't very good. Or the maitre d' or the waiter or the serving staff were really good and now they're not very good. And that is the focus on your business. You have to focus on the quality. You have to focus on the consistency. Don't worry about the 200 other thousand things you want to get done in your business. Don't worry about all the sexy social media marketing that you want to do and being a superstar on Instagram. When I sit down for a meal, when I sit down for a haircut, when I sit down or lie down for my facial, it has to be of a high quality. And it has to be value, not cheap. Yeah, that's different. I don't want something that's cheap. In fact, I don't want anything that's cheap. I want something that is pro rata to my expectation. Let me give you another short example, and then I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about price sensitivity. So a second example would be motorbikes. Now, if you follow me at all, if you followed me for more than a few days, we're not going to get past me talking about motorcycles. But anyway, a few years ago, maybe many, many years ago now actually, I bought a motorcycle. It was a Triumph. It was a Triumph Speedmaster at the time. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous bike at the time. And it came with all the things that I needed it to come with. It was high quality. You could tell by the weight of the bike. You could tell by the disc brakes. You could tell by the suspension. Anyway, I paid X amount of money for this bike and I enjoyed it for maybe 6 or 7 years. It was totally, totally fabulous. And guess what? Triumph brought out the new version. Now, the new version, when you take into account things like inflation, was about the same price as the old one, which sounds pretty good to me. And I'd had a great experience with the old version. I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll kind of upgrade. However, when I go to see this bike, again, it's a bit like the food in the last restaurant. It looked fabulous until you look around, until you sit on it, until you check it. The old bike had twin disc brakes on the front. The new bike, just one disc brake. The old bike came with floorboards, which is what I liked and what I wanted. The new bike came with foot pegs. The old bike came with a pillion seat. The new bike came with a solo stroke, I don't know what they call them now, saddle, if you like. Not much use for a pillion, I wouldn't say. Now, I'm not saying they were right or wrong in that sense. What I'm saying is I had experienced a great motorcycle. It was everything I wanted, everything I needed, and its replacement, the continuity, yeah? I talked to you about being consistent. The continuity, the consistency wasn't there. The next one wasn't as good as the last one. Think about this in your salons, guys. If you're doing haircuts, colors, facials, if you're doing Botox, it doesn't really matter. If I come to you once, I have a great experience, and I come back in 6 months, or 6 weeks, or 6 years, and it's not comparable, I'm going to feel duped. I'm going to feel disappointed, and I'm going to probably look at a different option. And by the way, I still have the old Triumph. I never did buy the new one. Now, I want to talk to you about something else in this podcast. I want to talk to you about price sensitivity, and I'm talking about your price sensitivity and not the clients, and how that's affecting everything. This is tied into what I'm talking about today. I said to you, there's only 2 things you've got to do in your business to be much more successful than you are. And the first one today is you must improve quality and not lower price. Now, sometimes lowering price doesn't mean that something was £40 and you've reduced it to 35. It could be a discount scheme you're doing, or it could be the way you're presenting it, or in this case, it's the price sensitivity. And I'm going to give you just 2 quick examples that I've experienced recently, which I've found a bit frustrating. I got to be honest. Maybe I'm finding it frustrating because I'm a coach and I don't want the businesses to do this. But I go to my dentist and I needed some sort of, let's call them fill-ins, on my front tooth, or my 2 front teeth. And I explained to them, that's what I need. And they say, okay, we can book you in. We got it all organised. And it's going to be £260. Is that okay with you? I said, absolutely, fantastic. Book it in, let's go. So I go and I turn up, and they before they start, they say, Carl, this is going to be 260 quid. And I say, okay, that's fine. And then after the service, they say, look, we don't know if we're going to be able to do that again if it breaks again, because that's going to be like £260. It's a lot of money for you, Carl. Now, all the time, from the first moment that they told me that's what I needed, and that was the price, it wasn't a problem. It was like, yeah, I know, it's fine. It's not an issue. It's what I'm prepared to pay. I'm not interested in the cost. I'm interested in that you are going to do, listen guys, a high quality job. That's what I want, a high quality job. I'm not worried about the prices. Anyway, have it all done. I get to the desk. They take the money off me, 260 quid, and then apologise. I'm sorry, but that's going to be £260. Why are you sorry? Please stop making me think about money. I don't want to have to go through that all the time. I understand what I'm going to have done. I understand the implications. I understand the price. Great. Let's not go on about it. Same in your salons, guys. Don't apologize at the desk. Don't hide behind services like, don't add on the toner if they need the toner because it's an extra 20 quid. If they need a totally different skin service to the one they came in for and it's twice the price, don't apologize. Don't avoid it. Tell them. That's what we're going to need to do to achieve the transformation. That's what we're going to need to do to deliver the quality that you are going to expect. You see, guys, consistency, quality, no lowering of prices, whether that's through price reduction or whether it's psychological, no lowering of prices. And then just yesterday, we pop into the local butchers, lovely little butchers, great meats, great foods. And my wife says to him, I tell you what, when we was in a few months ago, we picked up a lovely rib roast. And he said, oh, you want a rib roast? Oh, they're expensive there, huh? Now, my boss can probably get you one, but maybe I have to speak to him. They're expensive, they are. I'm like, Jesus, man, just want a rib roast. I don't need a price sensitivity kind of lecture from the staff. No, and both of these instances, the dentists and the same with the butchers, that just says they're not trained properly. I always talk to you guys about not allowing your teams, especially when I'm coaching you one-to-one, to ever talk about anything negatively. Especially in this kind of tough period, we should never be talking about prices in a downward way. We have got to keep talking about our business in an upward way, in a high value, consistent and high quality way. And that's all this week. Thank you for listening to the Salon Health Good to Go podcast. Now, take a look in the show notes for some useful links on getting hold of me. And also, please let other salon and spa and clinic owners know that I'm here every Sunday at 4 p.m. trying to kickstart your week. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the next episode.